Hello there. Today we talk about the maxillary artery and the relations of the lateral pterygoid and the medial pterygoid muscles. So before going into that, let us see the osteological considerations of this area. So this is the mandible. We have already done it. So we have the head of the condyle and we have the neck of the condyle. Now medial to the neck of condyle, that is in this region, medial to the neck of the condyle, we have the auriculotemporal nerve above and the maxillary artery below. So that if I have my two fingers like this, the upper finger is representing the auriculotemporal nerve and the lower finger is representing the maxillary artery. So this is the first part of maxillary artery, which is passing medial to the neck of the condyle of mandible. Then it is important to know the pterion. What is the pterion? Pterion is a circular area which is seen in normal lateralis. H-shaped suture is there in relation to this circular area, and here four bones are meeting. What are the four bones which are meeting? We have the frontal bone, we have the parietal bone, we have the sphenoidal bone. Sphenoidal bone is this one, and we have the temporal bone. So frontal bone, parietal bone, sphenoidal bone, and temporal bone. Frontal, sphenoidal, parietal, and temporal. So these four bones meet in an H-shaped area. H-shaped suture is there. These four bones meet in a circular area that is referred to as the pterion. So inside the pterion, there are some markings. If you look at the inner aspect of the pterion, there are some markings here. So these markings are due to the anterior division of middle meningeal artery, and they are due to the middle meningeal vein, and they are due to the stem of the lateral sulcus. So the vessels are making markings on the inside of the pterion. And this area is important because if any injury takes place in region of the pterion, then what will happen is that will cause bleeding from the anterior division of middle meningeal artery, and blood will get collected, what is known as extradural hematoma, and it may compress the motor area of the brain. So in that case, immediate operation is required, surgery is required, and this pterion is located 4 centimeters above the zygomatic arch and about 3.5 centimeters behind the frontozygomatic suture. So this bone is zygomatic bone, this bone is frontal bone, and this is frontozygomatic suture. So 3.5 centimeters behind it and 4 centimeters above the zygomatic arch, the pterion is located, and the posterior interior relations of the pterion. So what are the relations of the pterion on the inside? Anterior division of middle meningeal artery, middle meningeal vein, and the stem of the lateral sulcus of brain. So this is another important osteological consideration. Then while doing the mandible, we had done that here is the mandibular foramen, and this mandibular foramen leads to the mandibular canal. Through this foramen is passing the inferior alveolar artery, which is a branch of the first part of maxillary artery. And this artery is giving branches to the lower teeth. So bleeding from the lower teeth is because of damage to the branches of the inferior alveolar artery. So it is from the inferior alveolar artery that bleeding in relation to the lower teeth takes place. So this is an important anatomical concept. Then another thing which I would like to reflect upon is the pterygomaxillary fissure. So you see here, this maxillary artery, the first part was lying in relation to the medial aspect of neck of mandible. Second part lies superficial to the lateral pterygoid muscle, which is getting attached here on the lateral pterygoid plate. And the third part of the artery is lying in the pterygopalatine fossa, which it enters through this gap known as pterygomaxillary fissure. So this is the maxilla bone and this is the pterygoid plate. So in between is the pterygomaxillary fissure. So this is another important osteological consideration. Then when we do the posterior surface of the maxilla, you see here some openings are there. So from these openings, branch of the third part of maxillary artery called posterior superior alveolar artery. It enters the maxilla and it supplies the premolar, molar teeth and the maxillary air sinus. The cavity of this bone is the maxillary air sinus. So posterior superior alveolar artery supplies the upper molars, premolars, and the maxillary air sinus. And what is posterior superior alveolar artery? It's a branch of third part of maxillary artery. So then one more thing, if you look at the orbit, so here you can make out that this is an elongated fissure. This is called superior orbital fissure. This elongated fissure is called inferior orbital fissure. And then there is a rounded canal here, which is called the optic canal. So the infraorbital branch of the third part of maxillary artery, it comes in relation to the inferior orbital fissure. It supplies the structures in relation to the orbit, and then it comes out through the infraorbital foramen. And this artery is giving branches which enter the maxilla, and they supply the incisor teeth and the canines. So as far as the lower jaw is concerned, as far as the mandible is concerned, that bleeding from the lower jaw or bleeding from the lower teeth is from the branches of inferior alveolar artery, a branch of first part of maxillary artery, while bleeding from the upper molars, premolars, and maxillary air sinus, that can be from the posterior superior alveolar artery, a branch of third part of maxillary artery, while bleeding from the incisors and canines, that is from the anterior superior alveolar branch of the infraorbital artery, a branch of third part of maxillary artery. So now that we have done the osteological considerations, I want to share my screen and show you the lateral pterygoid muscle and how the maxillary artery is lying in relation to the lateral pterygoid muscle. Now you see here, this is the upper head of lateral pterygoid muscle. It is small in size. This is the larger lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle, L for lower, L for larger. Now this maxillary artery is lying below the auriculotemporal nerve, medial to the neck of the condyle. So this first part of maxillary artery is running horizontally in relation to the lower border of lateral pterygoid muscle, and it gives a deep auricular branch, anterior tympanic branch, and it gives a middle meningeal artery and an accessory meningeal artery, and it gives the inferior alveolar artery. Now out of these, when I told you the pterion, the pterion was related to the middle meningeal artery anterior division. So this is important because a damage to this artery in relation to the pterion can cause extradural hemorrhage, and the compression of the brain has to be avoided there under all circumstances. So then we have the accessory meningeal artery, and this is the inferior alveolar artery arising from the first part of maxillary artery. Now this inferior alveolar artery is entering the mandibular foramen, and it gives branches which supply the lower teeth. So bleeding from the lower teeth is from branches of inferior alveolar artery. The second part of maxillary artery is lying superficial to the lateral pterygoid muscle. You can appreciate here, this is the second part of maxillary artery. And this gives mainly muscular branches to the muscles of mastication. So you can see here, it's giving the deep temporal branches to the temporalis muscle, right? Then it is giving the pterygoid branch to the pterygoid muscles. So then it supplies these muscles. It also gives a branch to the buccinator muscle, which is an accessory muscle of mastication. Then this maxillary artery, it enters between the two heads of the lateral pterygoid muscle. It passes through that, and then the third part of the maxillary artery is the one which is entering the pterygomaxillary fissure to go in relation to the pterygopalatine fossa. Now, before going into the pterygomaxillary fissure, the third part of the maxillary artery gives two branches, and those two branches are the posterior superior alveolar artery, this one, and the infraorbital artery. The posterior superior alveolar artery it passes through apertures on the posterior aspect of the maxilla, and it supplies the upper premolar, molar teeth and the maxillary air sinus. The infraorbital artery, it enters the orbit and it passes in relation to the inferior orbital fissure. So inferior orbital fissure I have already shown you, and this artery supplies structures in the orbit, and then it comes out through this infraorbital foramen, and it is going to supply the lacrimal sac, the nose, and the area of the upper lip. Now this branches of the infraorbital artery, they are called, infraorbital artery gives the anterior superior alveolar branches, and they pass through the maxilla, and they will supply the incisors and the canine teeth. So the important thing to understand here is that the third part of the maxillary artery, before it has entered the pterygomaxillary fissure, it gives two branches: posterior superior alveolar artery, those supply the upper premolars, molars, and the maxillary air sinus. And then it gives the infraorbital artery. Branches from infraorbital artery are called the anterior superior alveolar arteries, and they supply the incisors and canine. So in this way, anterior superior alveolar arteries and posterior superior alveolar arteries, which are both coming from third part of maxillary artery, are supplying the upper teeth. And so bleeding from upper teeth is from the branches of anterior and posterior superior alveolar arteries. Posterior superior alveolar artery is directly arising from third part of maxillary artery, while anterior superior alveolar arteries, they are arising from the infraorbital artery. So once it enters the pterygomaxillary fissure, the maxillary artery gives the pharyngeal branch, the artery of pterygoid canal, greater palatine artery, and the terminal branch is known as sphenopalatine artery. Now this sphenopalatine artery is also known as artery of epistaxis. So this is the terminal branch of the maxillary artery. I repeat, first part of maxillary artery gives 5 branches, and this lies below the lower border of lateral pterygoid muscle. Second part of maxillary artery gives muscular branches. Third part of maxillary artery, it gives 2 branches, posterior superior alveolar and infraorbital artery, and then it enters the pterygomaxillary fissure, and then it gives the pharyngeal branch, artery of pterygoid canal, greater palatine artery, and the terminal branch is the sphenopalatine artery, which is the artery of epistaxis. It participates in formation of Kieselbach's plexus in the anterior-inferior portion of the nasal septum, and from there bleeding can take place. So that is why it is known as the artery of epistaxis, the sphenopalatine artery. So students, another important thing you can appreciate here is the relations of the lateral pterygoid muscle. I told you it is the key muscle of the region. So you can appreciate here how the maxillary artery, particularly its second part, is lying superficial to the lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle, while the mandibular nerve is lying posterior to the lateral pterygoid muscle. So this mandibular nerve, it's giving some branches. It is giving the posterior division of mandibular nerve gives auriculotemporal nerve that lies medial to the neck of the condyle, and then posterior division of mandibular nerve also gives the lingual nerve. See how it is lying in relation to the lower border of lateral pterygoid muscle, and the inferior alveolar nerve, how it is lying in relation to the lower border of lateral pterygoid muscle, and the middle meningeal artery is also passing in relation to the lower border of lateral pterygoid muscle, and the maxillary artery is lying superficial to the lower head of lateral pterygoid muscle. Gap between the two heads of lateral pterygoid muscle, here you can appreciate that the maxillary artery is entering the gap between the two heads of the lateral pterygoid muscle, while the buccal nerve, that is the sensory branch of the mandibular nerve, is coming out of the gap between the two heads of the lateral pterygoid muscle. So maxillary artery is entering the gap between the two heads of lateral pterygoid muscle, while the buccal branch of mandibular nerve is exiting the gap between the two heads of lateral pterygoid muscle. That is to be appreciated. So then what lies below? I told you that the lower head of the lateral pterygoid is covered on the anterior aspect and the posterior aspect by the medial pterygoid muscle. So this lingual nerve and inferior alveolar nerve, now they form the superficial relations of the medial pterygoid muscle, while deep relation of the medial pterygoid muscle is the superior constrictor of pharynx and then you have the two muscles attached to styloid process, the stylopharyngeus and the styloglossus. So this region, this can be described in terms of the lateral pterygoid muscle. So the infratemporal fossa is usually described in relation to the lateral pterygoid muscle, and that is why it is known as the key muscle of this region. So I hope you can appreciate the anatomical facts today taught to you. And with that, I end my class. I thank you for your patience and cooperation, and also your feedback, which I am regularly getting. So till the next time we meet, bye-bye. Thank you and take care.